Oh, the music's still playing, but hey, how you guys doing? Twitter world. Oh, where's that music coming from? Uh, Jesse. Okay, no worries. It's really distracting. No worries. But hope everybody's having a great day. I am here with my two friends, Greeny and Craig. I think this is the first time I've had two people on stream before, which is
Cool, bro. Let's go.
But hope first off, how you guys doing today? Oh, the music's still playing, but hey, how you guys doing?
Good,
Twitter
dude.
world.
Good. I guess I'm above Greeny's on first to answer these days. Yeah, I'm good, dude. Thank you very much. We had our stream earlier today. And yeah, pleasure to join you. Obviously, been
But hope
following you a
everybody's
while,
having
so
a
thanks
great
for having
day.
me. So I'm
I
just
am
going to have to
here
mute
with
to
my
be a
two
tad.
yeah, hey Jesse, what's up with that?
Yeah.
And
Just
Craig.
close the
I
right.
think this is the first time I've
See
had
the
two
right
people on stream.
stream over on the right
Which
of
is
your
so-
screen, Brent.
Oh,
Then you can close that. Then we're sweet. Yeah, bro.
I
Easy.
thought that was through us. Thank you for that. Greeny.
That's all good, bro. Hey, I've been doing this shit for a long time, so I get it. It's so annoying.
No, yeah, but yeah, Greeny, Craig, and I was lucky enough to get on their stream a couple months ago, or about a month ago now, which is great. So excited to have them on here. For those of you guys don't know, Greeny and Craig are from Australia. Both of them. We're gonna go into a little bit about their story and how they met, they got into crypto. But for those of you guys who haven't seen already, Market Mates. Your old name was remind me what it
GC
was.
crypto.
GC Crypto, and they recently made the brand change to Market Mates. What I'll say about these guys, besides being really pretty spot on with what's happened with the price action recently and a lot of cool stuff, they've been right up there with the most consistent streamers out there with Thread Guy and everybody else. I see their clips everywhere, and I'm excited to have them on again to like I said, hear their story and everything going on in the market. So, Greeny, I didn't hear from you. How you doing today, bro?
Man, I'm doing good. I mean, this look, like we've discussed on our show, like this corrective move was something I anticipated for a long time. So it's nice to sit patiently and wait for this to actually happen. And yeah, it's starting to play out. So I've been buying. Like it's the first time I've been super bullish to buy for a long time. So yeah, it's good. It's good to jump on with you again, Brent, and chat for sure.
Right on, yeah, 100%. Also from, we'll talk about price action and bear markets and all that, but you guys have both been in crypto for a few cycles now, so people will be interested to hear your perspective on bear market and all that. So also, before we go and get started, everybody in the chat, I know some people are hopping in from the channel, from Twitter. Usually I do the streams Tuesdays and Fridays at a little bit earlier in the day at 11:30. But I wanted to accommodate our guests here from Australia, like I said. So appreciate everybody for joining us at this time. I see Danny. I am Nodi. We are going to do a giveaway here about 30 minutes into the show. So I'll go ahead and do that. But before we go ahead and get started, if you guys could, one, in the chat, let us know where you're tuning in from and whether this is your first time in the stream or you're returning. But Greeny, Craig, I know we had talked a little bit on your stream a while back about your guys' story. I like to start these streams, at least when I have guests, kind of hearing, a little bit about your, early days in crypto. Starting with Greeny, when were your first introductions to the markets in general, and then obviously into crypto?
Markets in general, look, honestly, gambling, to be honest, if you want to classify that as markets. I was a big arbitrage bettor back in the day when I was going through university and college as a way of basically just chasing promos across different companies and walking away profitable no matter how the result of the sports game went. So Australia really closed that down sort of mid 20 teens, let's call it. So that was no longer like you could walk away with like 200 to 300 bucks a weekend. And that's how I really started to fall in love with making money. And then I was in a gambling group and someone suggested crypto. So I checked it out and I had a look. And the first coin I ever bought was Litecoin because I looked at Bitcoin at $300. I was like, nah, that's too expensive. I'll go for Litecoin at $20. So that was way back in 2016. I think I turned like 1 or 2 grand into about 10 grand that cycle, but I round tripped it. A favorable memory of mine is my old man at Christmas saying, "Sell it all, Greeny," and I didn't listen to him, and I round tripped it all back to 2 grand. Then I obviously started full-time work as a teacher in 2019, and I began just accumulating Ethereum and Bitcoin throughout that bear cycle. Traded about sort of 5K up to around a 60K sort of portfolio, so about a 12x. Then I got scammed in NFTs, lost about 40K instantly. I had already taken 15K out to buy a ute and a car. Here is what we call it, a utility vehicle here in Australia. So I had a 40K loan. I then had to pay tax on unrealized gains. So it was I really hit the depths of society, I think, sort of in 2022. So then my hunger didn't leave, and then I joined. I started Twitter. I found crypto Twitter in the end of 22, start of 2023. So I started the brand, the Greeny Trades brand. From there, knew I had a good level of skill of trading. Had finally sort of worked my way into understanding how it all works over the past sort of 7 years, and so through Twitter, I then began my trading community, GTG. Craig and I kind of met at the middle stage of 2023. I'll say maybe even earlier. And we just, I don't know, we found a partnership that's so uncommon, right? Like we literally spoke about it this morning before our stream about just how grateful we are to have one another in this space, because it's so hard to find business partners, let alone other people you can talk with every day. So then we started Market Mates, well, previously GC Crypto, sort of the end of 2023 throughout 24 and then throughout 25. And that's obviously rebranded to Market Mates now. But yeah, I run a trading community with about 450 members globally, and we trade everything from memes to alts to perps to really focusing on the educational side, I suppose, more recently. So yeah, that's a bit of a long-winded, but that's sort of my journey and why I think it's important for people to understand at least like the longevity and the experience is why people should learn to find value and trust in certain people on the timeline.
100%. That was a great breakdown. And just a question that popped in my head before we go on to Craig. I know there's a big stigma out there for people who do paid groups, right? In the space, like you automatically you see under like any comment, people just automatically say, "Oh, you have a paid group," and just kind of like this dismissive comment. What are your thoughts on that in general? How do you handle that? And then like two, what are your thoughts? I think for me, paid groups, I think very few people out there probably like have the expertise to actually train for their knowledge, and when it's stuff like you're doing where it's more kind of more mentorship where you're kind of involved, I think that's legit. But how do you handle that, and what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, yeah, no, fantastic question. I think that's always a question that we still get raised on our stream too, Craig. So for me, it's well, I'm a qualified educator, right? I'm a qualified teacher in my real world. So if I was teaching IRL, I would deserve money for any advice, education, analysis that I would do. So that's kind of the way I take it initially. The second point is if you go to the GTG Watt page, it'll see that there's 80 reviews and 5-star review average out of 5 stars. So that sort of proves the point that it's an ecosystem. It's not necessarily just a paid group, right? It's an educational ecosystem where we have been deadly accurate on trends all cycle. We're talking meme coins, we're talking perps, we're talking ordinals, we're talking NFTs, we're talking airdrops, we're talking day trading, we're talking spot, we're talking bull market to bear market transition, bull market to bear market transition more recently, and the reverse, obviously. So for me, more recently, since entering the bear market, I've really tapped into, okay, there's a lot of people out there where trading very much is a skill that I think is a lifelong skill that you will be able to use. And if you have that, it's going to be so beneficial in the years to come, where your salary in your 9-to-5 job just won't outpace sort of the cost of living and those sorts of things. So for me, it's an ecosystem for people to learn, to find other members across the globe with a range of experience in traditional markets as well as crypto markets. And community is often the leading point for me. I'm like, well, a lot of people I talk to are struggling. Like I get still DMs. Literally today I was replying to a lady about, she's like, oh, look, I got this wrong and I wish I had people to talk to. I'm like, well, GTG is literally that. And the beautiful part of GTG is that it's more than just a trading group or a pay group. It's a whole ecosystem of tools, resources, live analysis from 3 or 4 or 5 traders every single week. It's narratives. It's just having a community that you can learn to trust with other people. And I mean, Craig's been there pretty much since day dot, as well as a trader, as an analyst, and as a supportive community member as well. So yeah, it's my baby, and it's one of the ways that I love sort of just touching base with people across the world who have very similar interests to us. They want to make money, they want to learn, they want to win together, and they love crypto. That's pretty much it. Hey.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly. It seems like you touch the like mentorship type of thing where you're, actually in there helping people, and then also you, like you said, the community is huge. I feel like a lot of people who come into crypto, even myself, like when I was much younger, kind of came into it more so. I guess I kind of more community thing, but most people come into it kind of alone, and that's awesome. You guys are doing that. Now, Craig, I want to hear about you. What is your kind of start in the markets and crypto? Yeah, in the markets in general.
Yeah, so I got into crypto full time start of February 21. So prior to that, I was in the gym industry, and then actually fast forward a little bit, I was helping my brother-in-law with a startup. So we're selling little tiny houses here in Australia, little granny flat type things as affordable housing, and we started that from the ground up. Long story short, got bought out by a Chinese investor. And I thought, okay, the fun bit's done now. I want out, and just it was just getting managed, I thought, pretty poorly. And I thought, well, I'd actually been speaking, funny enough, to the founder of Australia CryptoCon, a guy who I PT'd called Dave, and he had been sort of semi harassing me for about 6 months, bless him, to get into crypto. And he was showing me some TA back in 2020. And I remember it was the elections when Trump didn't get in. And I put quite a large amount of money on Trump. And I started getting scared about whether Trump was going to get in or not, and how, the finance world was going to go. So I told Dave, oh, no, I don't want to get into crypto just yet. I believed the news back then, right? I was watching the news headlines. I was like, oh, this is scary. And so I didn't get into it, and basically he called me a pussy. I remember that quite clearly. Or basically said, I guess this is not for you, which is kind of fighting words for me. But anyway, fast forward, I decided I want to leave my job. And I thought, well, I want to get out of my job. What can I do? And I decided one day, I said to my wife, the day I resigned, I said, I'm going to resign today, and I'm going to go full time into crypto. And bless her heart, she said, yeah, look, do what you need to do. I trust you. So walked in that day, said, look, man, that's me. I'm done. Shook his hand, walked out. And the next day started to research the living hell out of crypto. So spent sort of, 16 hours a day, like just from the get-go, just researching as much as I can. So, and I guess I did it the way everyone else did it. I went on X straight away. So I joined X, I think, that same month. And then classically went to YouTube and was watching every single influencer I can, including Alex Becker, all the classics. I can name all the classics all your viewers know. I started with them as well. Cryptos R Us, you name it, I watched them all. Basically, every time I was driving my car, I had every podcast going I could, every YouTube video. I was just trying to get as much information as I could. And that was 21. Obviously, I got in as the bull market was, I want to say, probably about a third of the way in. So everything was just going up, right?
Were you a Bitboy guy or what?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Got into that. Oh, dude, I was an everything guy. You know what I mean? I just was so hungry for information that I just consumed everything. Like I just wanted to, that exciting time when you get in and it doesn't even, I mean, looking back now, you can't curate a list because you don't know what's right or wrong. So I was just taking everyone's opinion in, which is kind of a bad thing to do. And they were just perma bulls as well. Sorry, Brent.
No, I was just gonna say that's crazy. My mic's really strong. That's so you can even hear me like even say that, like barely talk. But what I was gonna say is, now that you say that, what would you say somebody coming into crypto Twitter? When I first came in, it was literally just to learn. Like I think I had my real name on there, and it was just whatever, just to, like you said, follow the Alex Beckers, people that I knew from YouTube, stuff like that. What would you say nowadays in 2026, someone coming into Twitter, how they could utilize both just like learning and just utilizing it the right way as a new person to crypto, and then potentially like building their brand?
Yeah, I mean, for the traders out there, or the new traders, it's hard. And that's one of the reasons, in my story, I started a trading group. I think it was in 22, end of 22, going on 23. I had a paid group, so funny you spoke about that. And there was quite a lot of stigma to that paid group because people were like, are you charging? There was other people who had free groups. And what I try to educate the timeline on is either you pay for the service or you are the service. So, either you pay, or the only way these free channels can make money is by shilling their followers what they've been given an allocation for, normally behind closed doors. So I decided I didn't want to operate like that. But to answer your question, and that's why I started a group back then, was I remember when I first got started, it was tough, dude. Like I remember asking questions in Telegram groups and on Twitter and just getting annihilated. It was very male dominated. It was crypto was still fairly underground then to a certain degree. I know that sounds silly, but more so than now. and it was pretty intense. I don't know what it's, for new people now, I don't know what it's like, but back then people were pretty like aggressive, and dudes, just guys sitting behind their screens being pretty just the comments one. Well, put it this way, I didn't get a lot of good information out of it, so it was definitely a minefield. So that's why I started that group. I was like, man, why don't I do something that can help new people coming into the space to avoid the minefields that I stumbled across, which was just either bad information or quite often information that was obviously a non-disclosed shill. Was a lot of, back then there were a lot of people shilling stuff, and back then there weren't a lot of disclosures, so you got wrecked from that. It was a tough time, dude. And what was the second part of your question, Brent? Was it about creators?
But let's just focus on this part of the question. I know it was a long question, actually. Like, it's just somebody coming in to try to learn crypto nowadays. Do you think the best place is on reading articles and following people on Twitter, YouTube videos, maybe briefly, like what do you think the best way for someone to learn crypto, or do you think it's private groups as well? Probably.
I think X first and foremost is pretty good. YouTube's okay. I just find the information there's behind, so it's not as up to date as I'd like it to be. Because by the time the person's filmed the video, edited it, got it out there, it's too late. And that's what I learned with following calls on YouTube, is they were days too late. So I think crypto Twitter or CT is probably the best place to go for the latest news. The tricky part is curating your timeline to people that actually know what they're talking about, aren't trying to sell you something, and providing information that they're not earning from, if that makes sense. So that's the hardest part, is curating that list. So I guess the best way to do that, man, honestly, is just time in the saddle. I don't think there's any way to fast forward that. The only way you can fast forward that is to find a group that is vouched for, that you can kind of trust, e.g., say GTG with Greenie and myself. Find a community, but even then, that's hard, because some communities out there, especially Telegram ones, can still be pretty shady. So it's hard. And I mean, obviously, I'm saying you can trust us, but then I'm selling a product, right? So it's still hard. It's still hard, I'm sure, for the new person out there to come in and even trust what I'm saying, because I've got no history with it.
Yeah, it's just trying different things. That it helps if you have maybe like recommendations and stuff, but
being vouched for is important. I guess that's where ethos could be important, but then even that's just a big shill fest in itself.
That's manipulated as hell. That's manipulated.
Yeah, so even it's hard to trust. Honest, I would say to viewers, trust no one, and research for yourself, and listen to what maybe people like Greenie and myself say. Listen to what people like you say. And go back and check their timeline. I mean, me, for example, I don't really delete tweets. So you can go back to all my tweets since 21, all of them. Like some people curate I don't. So I go back, you can go look through all the calls I've made.
Yeah, for sure.
Some of them are wrong, a lot are right. But I would say don't just trust anybody. Don't trust anybody on there. And just back test what people have said. You can go back, see if the calls came out right. See who's shilling you Bitcoin, who's shilling you other stuff, and you'll soon know. It doesn't take too long, I don't think, to work out who's there for the right reasons and who's not. 100%. But I would say be on the timeline, be curious. Don't invest money in anybody too soon. Just don't spend any money. Just observe. Be an observer for a while, and you will start to realize who's who.
Yeah, especially over time, as you follow people for longer, you'll know who knows what they're talking about. But we don't want to spend too much time on that. Let's go ahead and get into Bitcoin and the charts a little bit. Like I said at the top of the show, Greenie and Craig, I was watching back some clips earlier, and just some other streams I've seen when I was watching. They've been pretty on point recently, just with the price action. And I know I remember seeing Greenie a couple months ago saying that he sold most of his portfolio. I don't know when. I don't want to put words into his mouth. But Greenie, when I know you had, like I said, you said you had sold most of your portfolio like in the summer, correct?
Yeah, it was September. I was pretty much like 90% stabled up. Yeah.
Awesome. And what were you seeing back then that really like had you, seeing raising the red flags that this probably was going to be a bear market, or at least a bigger correction starting?
Exhaustion. Obviously, if you follow me, I'm big technically, but I also understand the fundamental side of trading too. And I always say it's always great to have a balance of both fundamentals and technicals.
Yeah.
But exhaustion in the chart, like I use a range of indicators for confluence, whether it's obviously the sentiment of greed and fear. You also look at stochastic momentum. You look at price structure itself. You understand on-chain trends. So for me, when I was really stabled up in September, it was very much around, well, we swing failure patterned across all timeframes, across all those three highs of basically, September. So that was a huge red flag for me. I was long into that. I lost a bit of money into that potential new all-time high trade. I
Yeah.
completely closed my longs. I opened a short around 117K, and I stabled up my whole portfolio. I got out of on-chain trends. We noticed liquidity was going down. We noticed meme coin strength was going down. We noticed on-chain volume was going down. We noticed that trends weren't anywhere near as lucrative as they were in 2023 and 2024 when I was trading meme coins. And again, like I said, like this is my 9th going into 10th year of crypto. You just learn how to read how people are behaving and on-chain trends as well as technicals. So we were overextended on the 1 month stochastic, basically for about 2 years. We were overextended on the quarterly. We hit the 80th percentile for the first time in history. That's crazy. So naturally, price has to reset at some point of time. So even though everyone was we had Mando and OSF even come on our show and say, yeah, bullish like 26, and I said, sorry, I don't agree with you. These guys are great traders, but a balance of fundamentals and technicals really, and just experience, which is so hard to teach. And that's why the GTG community is such a focus of mine, because I'm in there every day, just trying to help people in whichever way it is, trying to learn how to perp trade or trying to understand high time frame trends, all those sorts of things. So for me, it's a range of different indicators, analysis that I like to use every single day. I'm very much more of a high time frame trader, and I think that really helps. And Craig's pretty similar too. Like I value the quarterly chart, the bi-monthly, the monthly, the weekly, the daily. Like I rarely go sub-daily unless I've got time to perps trade on low time frames, right? So I already prepare well in advance because these charts are showing me at least when things are bottoming or when things are topping. So again, I was super early to the meme coin meta, one of the first ever people to create tutorials on YouTube around meme coins back in 2023. So I think I just knew that, look, price had outperformed all assets from 23 to 25. It's inevitable that we will have a correction. So we are very close to the top, if not at the top, based on all my analysis that I'm looking at.
100%. Yeah, for me, similar thing. I just when we came back down to 81, I had taken a lot of profits on the way up here and was adding a little bit on the way down here, but when we saw this consolidation at 81K, I thought there was a possibility that we could at least touch, 100, the hundreds or a little bit higher before we came down. But I think it goes without being said. You think that one, we are in a bear market like 2022, and further than that, where do you see us going? Do you think this is a bear market that lasts 12 months like these prior bear markets? Do you think it's less? Where do you see us going over the next year?
I would say I'm pretty bearish for 2026. Really interestingly, gold versus Bitcoin starting to be closer to a bottom than Bitcoin is in USD terms. If I look at the monthly stochastic oscillator, we still have at least another. Let me just do a quick, arguably to the end of this year before it starts to pivot into a bullish trend again. But even then, it doesn't necessarily time the bottom. That usually happens after the bottom has occurred. So I'd say my high time frame target is probably Q3, Q4 this year for a bottom, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the bottom could be already in. And the thing we've been talking about on our show every day is time capitulation is very different to price capitulation. We just saw the highest volatility in crypto, or specifically Bitcoin, since 2021. So usually after an extremely high volatile price action event, you usually don't see much happen for many months after. So I would argue we're probably going to oscillate between sort of at least mid 50s and probably potentially mid 80s, in my opinion, for the next few months, depending on how price action is received globally. If the stock market starts to collapse a little bit and have a correction, which I think it's very much due for, obviously gold and silver are starting to show a little bit more weakness as well. But I think overall, I would lean to the end of this year very much being a great time, in my opinion. There's always not financial advice to allocate some money to strong assets, something like Hyperliquid, as I've been saying, probably closer to $20 is where I'm keen. But Bitcoin, definitely. I bought a lot of Bitcoin in between 60 and 67K already.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm the same kind of way. I think that we probably do consolidate for a while here, especially after this big drawdown, and we could see obviously a bounce. But I think same thing. Either the summer or Q4, I think will be a good time if we are to get another low in the 50s, 40s, wherever it may be, to be that final bottom. I
Yeah.
remember, Benjamin Cohen, who I've been, someone I learned from a lot to this day. He, like he says, he thinks that too. That again, probably October or something like that. That we see a bottom with a bounce. Probably he thinks March we probably see a bounce into wherever, and then probably roll over one more time. But I think we're all in agreement again. Higher time frames, higher time horizon. I think crypto has kind of crossed the point of no return. I think there's a lot of I saw this stuff on the timeline. Maybe we can talk about this where I forgot I should have had it marked, but pretty much this guy who said that there's a 50-50 chance he thinks that either the top for crypto is in, meaning everybody's already heard about Bitcoin. There's the president has already pushed it, and it could grind up for a little bit, but essentially the top is in, or it becomes this widely adopted thing. What are your guys' thoughts on kind of after this bear market? And I want to hear from Craig first, maybe because we just heard from Greeny. After this bear market is over, where do you think crypto goes over the next 5 years? Are you a believer that the regulatory clarity and everything is going to lead to where Bitcoin and ETH are kind of like the S&P 500 up only for the next 10 or 20 years? Like, how do you see it playing out?
Yeah, I do see that happening. I think as we get more and more clarity in Bitcoin, at the end of the day, what's going to happen now for adoption is all the laws and all the railways to be laid down for this to actually happen in traditional markets, and that's what's happening right now. So I can't see crypto going away. I can't see them laying down all this regulatory framework and then going, oh, okay, sorry guys, we got it wrong, renege, pull it. No, I think over time. No, I don't think the top for cryptos, and if you mean all time, no. And basically, one of the reasons why I say that is because the dollar just continues to lose value. So assets go up, dollar goes down. That's going to continue to happen. The dollar, is going to continue to depreciate over time as they print. That just happens. It's inflationary. People are going to look for somewhere to go to hedge against inflation. And I think the new generation that's coming through don't really care about gold, shiny rocks. They don't care about things being tangible. It's not like my dad, where to sell my dad on Bitcoin, one of the first things older people say is, well, it's not tangible. And they don't quite, even though my dad's an accountant, which is kind of ironic, isn't it? But I'm very institutionalized in that if it's not tangible in their mind, they don't see value in it. Whereas the younger generation, like my son, he's been buying digital assets since he was born, basically. When he was old enough to hold an iPad, he was on Roblox buying Robux, which is their digital dollar. So he trades in that. They trade digital assets on there already. So when my son gets to, say, 18, buying Bitcoin or digital asset is not going to be foreign. It's going to be very comfortable, and they understand it, and they understand it doesn't have to be something they hold in their hand. So the way I see it going, I think it's going to grow exponentially. So I think, long story short, the sky's the limit for Bitcoin, and I don't think we're anywhere near adoption yet. Nowhere near. Like if I got in a room 10 of my friends, I reckon 1 to 2 would own crypto.
Yeah.
So
I think the global adoption
yes.
rate for Bitcoin is like 10% or something, or less than that, a few percent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, so I was going to say, so I personally think we go much higher. I just think perhaps it might not be. I mean, maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe it won't be as parabolic as it was in the past. Obviously, as volatility decreases, as the asset matures, we might see, consequently, the bear market not dip quite as low, and we might not see the bull market give returns like 8x's moving forward, like we saw this bull run. Was it a 7x off the bottom, maybe 8? Maybe we'll see a 4 or 5x, you know what I mean, which is still phenomenal. I mean, I will continue to buy this and DCA down. You were speaking about where the bottom might be. I think one of the advantages of just DCAing in and scaling in slowly is that way you don't have to be a genius. You don't have to pick the bottom, and you remove that risk of missing it. So all I do is DCA in as we go down now. and then I scale like you did, Brendan, like Greenie and I did, and then I scale out as it goes up. Super
Yeah.
stress free. And I'd recommend anybody, not financial advice, but if you're getting wrecked in meme coins and altcoins, really consider really consider trading Bitcoin and really get to know the Bitcoin chart, because if you don't understand how Bitcoin works, you're going to be late to understanding what altcoins and meme coins are going to do. And people like Greenie and I and yourself who understand Bitcoin's movements are going to have one up on you, and we're always going to be quicker to react than someone that doesn't appreciate how Bitcoin works. And I see that with a lot of traders, is they don't understand or don't care how Bitcoin affects them and their coins. And I would just say, first and foremost, learn how Bitcoin moves, learn a bit of TA, probably turn off the news. I would say mostly, I think the news is going to lead you wrong. And if you trade according to news headlines, you're going to get wrecked. I would just follow technical analysis. Look at the news to understand how normies are probably perceiving things, but I would almost counter trade that sometimes. So yeah, long story short, I think Bitcoin goes higher for longer. Where this bear market low ends up, no one knows. No one knows. But if I was going to give a range, 40 to 50, somewhere in there.
Yeah, and you see strategy today. Well, this was yesterday. Acquired 90 million more Bitcoin. I think now at this point, right, they're selling their stock to acquire more. Big,
Gotcha.
big, talk around that. A lot of people think. I think Michael Saylor mentioned 8K would be where the first place they'd have any trouble as far as prices go. But I think that's like a lot of people. I don't know. There's some misunderstandings around that. Who knows if it got to like 10, like 20K or something, there was some, big, overall market correction. Would they have to sell anything? Who knows? But I think generally if Bitcoin does kind of go up, in 27, 28, then generally they would be fine. But Greeny, what do you think over the next, short the next, 3 to 5 years? Are you a big believer that Bitcoin continues to go up, as the money gets debased and we're going to see mass adoption? You kind of somewhere in the middle, or how do you see the next few years playing out?
Yeah, it's a global asset. I think what we've noticed in the past 3 years, again, like this being my third cycle, and the real significant shift is there was less speculation on altcoins and it moved to sort of meme coins, but everyone understood that meme coins was gambling. So what we noticed is that, look, you're going to have outperformance of trends, right? Hyperliquid, Solana, Radium, for example, for a couple of years there, Casper at the start of the cycle. There's plenty of examples where you can trade actively and make money. But ultimately, against BTC, there's nothing that has outperformed it consistently over like a 5-year plus period. So for me, the market is already starting to realize the maturity that crypto is getting to. AI is now the speculative, more innovative sort of industry that I think people are moving to. So naturally, that means that as crypto matures, people start to switch on that, oh, okay, no, Bitcoin is Bitcoin for a reason. All this other shit that has been created is just a byproduct of what Bitcoin initially was set out to be, right? So for me, you'll always have time to trade memes, as this comment says as well. Like, you always have time to trade memes. You always have time to trade altcoins. It's just you want to trade them in an outperforming period and then rotate profits back into stables, into cash, or into Bitcoin, because that's the one that's going to be the leading asset for a long time. So, look, I think it continues to be worldwide adopted. I mean, in Australia, we only have like 3 million people who own crypto. So there's still massive upside there out of nearly 30 million people. So that's only like 10, 15%. And we're a wealthy country and a well-resourced country, right? So for me, yeah, I think it's anything close to 50K is a steal long term. And as I said, yeah, I think there's value here in the mid 60s to low 60s. I had my limit orders. I set them up at the start of the year. I had a tweet that go viral because everyone's like, "What do you mean, Greeny?" And I said limit orders from 75 down to 50, and pretty much like 10 of them already hit. So. Yeah, look, I definitely want to accumulate Bitcoin, and I'll trade trends on top of that once we come out of the bear cycle. Like, it takes time for bottoms to form. It's not just going to be a massive V-shaped recovery, particularly when I look at the 6-month, the quarterly, the 2-month charts. It's time. We need time. So later this year, I get pretty keen to probably just buy $5,000 of certain things, and hopefully a few of them hit with like a nice 10x or something like that.
100%. Yeah, I think always, like, besides the COVID crash, and even that, there was a big correction leading up to that. You almost very rarely get those V-shaped recoveries unless there is just like massive money printing that comes out of nowhere or something. But okay, so are you accumulating anything other than Bitcoin and ETH right now? Are you
Not
any.
even touching ETH. I think ETH has it's an interesting one. I hold my Pudgy Penguin. That's my exposure on ETH. I would buy Punk probably sub 40 or around 40K. I'd consider it. But no, in my opinion, Ethereum, if you look at the ETH versus BTC chart, that just tells you everything you need to know. So for me, it's Bitcoin. It's hyper liquid, probably closer to $20 if we see it. Rect as like a kind of memetic sort of brand play that has a product outside of crypto that succeeds super well with founders who actually get crypto, and where the revenue comes back into the token directly in that ecosystem. So that's definitely one on my radar. They're probably the only three I consider later this year at accumulating. Craig, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not really rushing to buy anything at the moment. Bitcoin, obviously, I'll be accumulating like a mad dog, man. As you know, as Bitcoin, if it taps 60 again, I'll buy pretty heavy there and below there. Hyperliquid is second on my list, but I'm looking for better prices there, maybe somewhere between 20 and 24. And to be honest, those are the main two I feel semi-comfy buying. The rest of them, I'm more willing for the market to kind of show me what the next thing's going to be. We may not even know, the next thing may not even be live yet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think patience is important here. And I think it's also important to realize that buying things on a dip may not be the smartest thing in the world because not everything comes back, as we saw with a lot of altcoins from 21. In my experience in 21 was no matter which altcoin you bought, eventually if you waited it out, you get a 2-3x, even if it was dog shite. So that didn't happen in this last bull run, where a lot of altcoins didn't even break their prior all-time high. So I think we're seeing people, well, we've been seeing this for quite some time, people understanding alts weren't that great, weren't probably that needed. And that's why they pivoted to meme coins, because at least they were honest about what they were. So for me, Bitcoin, certainly, hyper liquid to a lesser degree. Solana, maybe, basically just because of the meme coin activity, but that I'm prepared to wait. Like, I'm in no rush to hold that, man. And then as far as, maybe Rect, shout out to Rect. Greeny mentioned them as well. Again, I'm willing to wait. The good thing is time's on our side. So I think we've got almost a year to buy. So I don't think you have to be in any hurry to run and be buying. I think there's time, like Greeny said, I don't think we're going to see a big V-shaped recovery. I think we've got this little bounce here, and then I think we're going to dump again, and bounce, dump again. But basically we're trending down, right? And then we're going to bottom out. And
Craig,
we're just going to go.
We'll still be down here in February of 26, 27. I'm sorry.
No. I think Q4.
Q4.
Yeah, but again, I'm open to longer and I'm open to lower. I'm curious to see how Bitcoin responds to an equities pullback, and perhaps quite a severe one, and perhaps a real estate pullback. In saying that, I haven't been in the markets long enough to say I'm any sort of genius or someone to listen to on the real estate market. I'm a casual observer. I own my home, and I do subscribe to the real estate cycle. I think everything's cyclic, including corn. Everything's cyclic. So what I'm interested in this bear market is it's going to be an all assets bear market, and I'm curious to see how Bitcoin holds up. Whether we see people sort of go to Bitcoin as a safe haven when some things start crashing down, or whether people go to cash as a safe haven to get away from assets, going down. And looking at the equities chart at the moment, looks like it wants to break down, man. So I guess I'm just I'm an observer for the moment, and I'm not in a hurry to buy because I think we go lower for longer. But the good news is I don't think you're going to have to time a bottom. I think you're going to have plenty of bites at the bottom. So I'm in no rush. But Bitcoin and Hyperliquid will be my two big bags.
Okay, so you guys don't like ETH and Sol at all here right now. You'd rather, what I'm kind of taking is, just in general, other than Bitcoin, you'd rather wait for the market to show momentum to the upside, get in then instead of trying to guess which ones are going to recover, and then take profits on the way up back into Bitcoin and stables and stuff.
Yeah, big lesson I've learned in the bear cycle is to wait for confirmation, whether that's a rounding bottom, that's over weeks, over days, depending on the asset, or wait for Bitcoin to really show a breakout, right? And if you You can go back and study, and that's the beautiful part about price. You can go back and study how it broke out of the 23 bear cycle. When we were analyzing that real time, that's when GTG started. We took out we were buying Solana under $30. The trend and the narratives were fitting Solana adoption. The technicals were supporting really strong higher lows there, down at $17. That was my first ever buy. So for me, it's very much structural. It's very much structural on Bitcoin and then on the asset itself. And if you look, there's literally majority of altcoins. No altcoins currently putting in high time frame higher lows yet. Everything looks quite bearish here, and it's going to in time. And that's it. Time will take months and months. It'll be months before we start to see bottoms potentially form.
Gotcha. Craig mentioned obviously the stock market rolling over. I think there's a good shot to consolidation here if we were to break below 6,800. I think just if you look historically, every time there's usually a big top, it's preceded by some kind of consolidation like this, which looks pretty identical to this one we got in December of 24. At least this one took a year, but anyway, if that were to happen, a lot of people think that that's what would cause, some type of QE or for this Fed to actually step in and start, stimulus and stuff in some way. But obviously, I'm in the belief that I think Bitcoin and ETH would probably continue to roll over, or at least not go up in that time. But obviously, if that were to happen, that would be wouldn't that be insane if Bitcoin kind of consolidated for a little bit, maybe started going up during the time that the stock market was rolling over. But I think the chances of that are pretty low at this point. At some point, I think as Bitcoin continues to grow, it will kind of act as gold and maybe what might be a counterparty trade, where a time where the stock market's going down, Bitcoin's kind of going up. But I just don't think we're there quite yet. But yeah, I think if S&P 500 breaks below 6,800, if we just look at some of these corrections of the past, maybe this one in 2023, usually about 2015 to like 30%, if it was a big one like that. So who knows how big it would be, but obviously I'm in agreement if that were to happen. ETH and Bitcoin will probably roll over as well.
Well, if you look at history, crypto actually front runs moves, right? It front runs moves to the upside. It front runs moves to the downside. Everyone's like, why is gold at all-time highs? Why is the S&P all-time highs in 2025? It's because crypto front run everything from 23 to 2025. It had an 8x on Bitcoin, right? As I said before, Radium, I caught a 40x on Radium, right? So this is what people, they want correlation, but the correlation is there. They're just reading it the wrong way. So for me, I think Bitcoin bottoms before it. Ethereum's such a tough asset to really consider at this point in time. I do worry, but I don't worry. Like the DeFi is huge. The Internet of Things is great. They are scaling, but this saturation of L2s is a whole nother conversation that you could have. So it's an interesting time. If you look, Ethereum and Solana, both of these assets, while Solana outperformed this cycle, both of these assets only went back to their previous all-time high from 2021. They did not make new all-time highs. They had a swing failure pattern on a multi-year period. That is so bearish that you need to understand that, and the people listening need to understand that, right? So, as I said, time is the greatest. I'm super comfortable because I know I'll have ample time to get into these assets later this year, whether it is stocks and ETFs, whether it is crypto, whether it's gold down at 4,000, whatever. Silver down at like $40 again. We'll wait and see. These are things that I cannot wait to buy. I just bought a house though, so I've just lost a little bit of liquidity. So a lot of liquidity.
For good reason though. That's awesome. How's that all been?
Oh mate, it's been an emotional journey over the past week. So I just got an email just now from our solicitors just checking the contract. So I'll have to read through that after the stream.
Nice. Did you have to move far? Or was it like kind of right around this area?
Yeah, it's around the corner. Yeah, no, I moved away from the capital city up to Craig is south of the capital city. I'm north of the same capital city. Okay. We both live beside the beach, and it's arguably probably the hottest location in the whole country, nearly. Yeah, Craig's been a homeowner. He's a bit older than me, so he's been a homeowner for a while. I am unofficially, unless everything doesn't go forward, a homeowner now as well.
Oh, congratulations, man! That's awesome.
Thanks, mate. Debt's great.
How are the interest rates over there? Is it like a
6%? We'll say 6%. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. What were they back in 2020 before?
Oh, bro, 2%, Craig.
Oh,
2 to 3, and then they went up to 7 or 8, and my mortgage repayment went bonkers, dude. And I kind of wondered how anyone who wasn't in crypto actually survived that period. If you weren't making money in crypto, I don't know how normal people were pulling in $1,000 a week salary paying, because my mortgage jumped from about $550 to probably close to $800 a week. So Tough times, even now, man. I wanted to touch on just talking about Sol and ETH. Just real quick, I wanted to also say to to viewers out there, one thing I noticed on the timeline is people marry their bags, or they become either ETH people or Solana people, and they kind of wear it like a badge or like it's their country's flag, and they just go to war about it. And I would probably say to people, remember why you're here. And I'm guessing most people are here to make money. So all you want to do is attach your money to the vehicle that's going to go up fastest, right? So don't worry about Solana or Ethereum. You just got to look for which trade's going to be the best, because I see so many people get stuck in their bags. And I watched it happen with Ethereum holders who were so resistant to come across to Solana back when Solana meme coins were popping off. And I remember when it happened. And I remember being in group chats getting shamed by Ethereum people that I started trading Solana meme coins.
Yeah.
And they were calling me a poor, and that's the poverty chain. And why are you going there? And hurling insults. And sure enough, 6 months later, they were all there with me. So be careful who you listen to on the timeline. People marry their bags. Don't be resistant to change. The next hot item is the next hot item. You got to go with it. You got to go with the flow. And yeah, you can't fight the new hot narrative. So don't get too stuck in your ways and marry your bags, man. That's probably the biggest thing that I learned through that time period. Lucky enough, I didn't suffer from that. But man, I saw some people get blinded by just their holding ETH, right? And they were like, nah, this is going to pop. This is going to pop. Man, like, yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it's a tough game. Yeah, it's like there's like not there's a big gap between like long-term investing, like stuff with Bitcoin and even ETH. Like I'm sure long-term, I think ETH will make new all-time highs just because of institutional adoption and stuff.
Yeah.
But even now, you're waiting 4 years. You really have to it's like as if almost when somebody bought Amazon or Google in the after the dot-com bubble, it took, let's just see here, like however many years, whatever this was, uh 5 years just to get back to all-time highs, and then in 2008 it dipped again. So it took for Amazon 9 years just to get back to all-time highs. But obviously nobody wants to get caught in that, and then there's like a big gap between that and you're saying there's the shorter term stuff. So I agree. Besides Bitcoin, to me, I put ETH in that camp. I'm willing to wait a little bit longer. But other than that, I've definitely come into more of that mindset too over the last few years of have a select few coins that you really believe in, Bitcoin, ETH, maybe, a few other alts. And then, trade the other stuff while the market conditions are good, and then take profits on the way up. So that makes a lot of sense. Now, you mentioned hype. I saw this tweet earlier about how hype, where's the bookmark? How hype is coming close to flipping Coinbase in what is this volume, right? Coinbase is at 1.4 trillion. I'm sorry, it already passed it.
Yeah, right.
More than doubled it. In what is this? How I don't know what this time frame is, but what do you guys think of this? Do you think on chain is just going to continue to go up, where eventually on chain will pass these sexes and volume and everything? Or what are your thoughts on this? I know you guys are big hyperliquid guys.
Yeah, it's super bullish. You look at users, look at active wallets, look at revenue, look at volume. Yeah, it's super bullish. But if it's a saturated trade, which it very much is, and was all the way up to $37, then it's not repriced at the fair value in the current bear market trend. So, I've been a loud bear for the last sort of couple of weeks on Hyperliquid. Everyone's like, Greeny, you missed the trade, blah, blah, blah. I said, nah, boys, it's distribution above the previous highs and the 0.5 fib. And sure enough, it's now trading below $29. So, yeah, look, I'm very keen, and I think everyone is very keen. It's just, if everyone's keen, and particularly at the start of a bear market, it's too early. So I think this trades back towards $20. There's a weekly order block down at 22 to 24 that I'm pretty interested in. There's an FVG on the daily that sits at around sort of 26-ish, which is in line with the 618 and the 66 fib. Those are probably my high time frame levels. If there's a brutal another capitulation event where volatility starts to hit crazy levels that, again, we haven't seen since 2021, more recently, then I think maybe Hyperliquid does trade back towards $10 to $12. There's a massive weekly order block down at $10 to $12 as well. So for me, it's about patience. And as I said, like I've been in this game a very long time, and with my community, we talk about this every week, and we've been so damn accurate. And now it's just okay. Stay patient. I bought a little bit today at 28 or just at 29 because I was like, look, it is down a little bit. It's at the golden pocket of this breakout, so I don't mind that. But only a very small bag, only a couple of grand, right? I'm not plowing tens of thousands into it yet. But if it starts to trade towards 20 and time has played out like over a couple of months, then I have a very pretty keen bias to accumulate Hyperliquid. I think it's an easy trade back to $100. It very much reminds me of Solana under 30 last cycle. So that's very much for me my focus. That's for sure. Yeah, stay patient. I think we go lower in many altcoins.
Okay. And what are the ones you think what are the sectors do you think, if you had to guess, of course, like Craig said, it could be something completely new and there will be new stuff, of course.
Yeah.
But of the existing stuff right now, besides hype, some other stuff, obviously you're not buying it yet, but what are some other sectors do you think bouncing back? Do you think meme coins eventually, as a sector, bounce back and continue to be a big thing with the on-chain stuff? Do you think AI, the convergence of AI in crypto? I mean, what do you think as far as
Yeah.
existing stuff?
It's a tough one. AI for sure, but AI separate to crypto is way bigger than AI inside crypto. And if you look at Tau and stuff, they're also breaking structure that doesn't look good on high time frames. So for me,
Not at all.
I'm not interested. I'm not interested until I see Bitcoin show strength at a bottom, right? So again, it goes into the same theories. I'm patient. I know how to buy and stay patient for for 6 months to a year, and then reap the rewards in a bull market trade, all the trends. So to answer that question specifically, yes, I think meme coins will always be around. They're mimetic, they're trend based, they're attention based, and that's an opportunity that you don't get in many other industries. So meme coins will definitely be around. AI is going to be so hard to capture. Like you've got Near Protocol, you've got Tau, you've got a few others, but again, they don't. They're competing. And this is the way I sort of pitch it, right? Why do they deserve a token? Two, they're competing against Anthropic, OpenAI, XAI, blah, 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 right? So these are juggernauts. Claude more recently, which is all over my bloody timeline. I can't get rid of it. And these sorts of things. So for me, AI will be a trade, but is that, as Mando like to says, with Google? Probably. That seems the most obvious, easy trade for me. It's probably just buy Google instead of buying a crypto asset. And a big thing that Craig and I have said recently is, well, what if altcoins are going to be replaced by Robinhood, by Coinbase, by something like Circle that has stablecoin yield or something like that, right? So these are like it's the best strategy I learned in crypto is to be extremely adaptable, be open to new trends, because that is how you consistently make money. But take profit, obviously, when those trends start to be euphoric or when everyone starts to talk about it. That's the key as well.
Yes, sir. Let's see how much has Google gone up since 2008. So it doesn't even show 2001, but just right here, that's 150x. I don't know if that accounts for splits too. I don't know, but either way, at least 150x from if you would have just held over the last 20 years. How that probably is the obvious trade, right? Like Google, these other already juggernauts. It'll be interesting to see if maybe it isn't an already existing thing. Maybe Tau, like you said, their ambitions are too high and they're competing with those bigger guys. But I do think the convergence of AI and crypto, at least for a time, certain coins will do really well, because I think AI in general crypto is going to be the way it can transact, and I think there'll be a lot of narratives during good conditions that will come around AI. Were you guys during meme coin time when it was like meme coins only? I assume you guys were doing some stuff in trading meme coins, right?
Yeah, yeah, heaps. Craig and I met through meme coin channels. So 23. So we were before anybody. Back in 2023, trading everything. I was the first YouTuber to ever, and I had no followers, subscribers on YouTube. I was the first YouTuber to ever put out meme coin tutorials back in December 2023 into the start of 2024. And now that's a saturated market. And sadly, because I had no followers, I never got the clout that other people then later in and claimed all that clout, right? So, super early to meme coins, and TA on meme coins as well, successfully. Again, tens of thousands of charts, swing trading, scalp trading, all these sorts of things. Yeah, we were doing that since 23, and I stopped doing it in 25 because I noticed on-chain metrics just weren't supporting that environment anymore.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I do think it will bounce back at some point. Who knows the coins that are still here, how many will bounce back? Probably a few. But I think as a on-chain trading, I don't think it's going anywhere.
No.
So, it might be an AI sometimes, meme coins kind of, who knows, but let me see here. What was I looking at? NFTs. Obviously, you said your exposure to NFTs right now, Greeny, is the pudgy. Um, what do you guys think about NFTs in general? Do you think here? Let me click out of this. Do you think, for me, I think NFTs eventually, whether it takes um, whether it takes AI slash I'm sorry, AR slash VR, where people are actually living more digitally and stuff like that, to take on. I do think NFTs are kind of the next form of collecting. I don't know what it'll be. I think it'll touch so many different areas with gaming. Right? Who knows how long that'll take to happen? But I think just digital assets, having non fungible digital assets, are going to be a thing where people can own assets in gaming and all these different areas. I tend to think sports cards, all these different areas could implement, one of these companies could implement NFTs at any time, or maybe it takes years for these things to be adopted. But I do think NFTs will have their place. The few IPs like Pudgies, maybe VFriends, whoever else, apes that stick around could become big companies based on collecting, being huge. What are your guys' thoughts on NFTs going in the next few years? Do you think as a category as a whole, they eventually bounce back, or do you think they'll just kind of be a relic of 2021?
I think they'll bounce back. I don't know. I don't. It's the same as altcoins. Well, for me, I think some will bounce back and most will go to zero. Um, because a lot of the teams don't stick around, not much value is produced. What is the value? Is it just the art? Is that just the value? If art's just the value, then that's a great buy and a great hold. But if it's a lot of people are in the NFT space to flip it rather than collecting art. How many people are actually art collectors versus traders with NFTs? I'm going to take a stab and say more people are traders, probably like myself, than people that go, oh, I really want an X copy, or something like that, or a beep or whatever. So I think as it matures, the cream will rise, and the top ones will do really well, and I think the rest will capitulate to zero probably, which is what Gary Vee was talking about back in 21, and he was pretty spot on there. So I think there's going to be a big place for it. I think the industry will grow as a whole. How it changes from now to then, I don't know what shape NFTs will take. I mean, certainly, trading skins and that in game is a very powerful catalyst. Obviously, there seems to be a lot of resistance to NFTs from gamers. So how long that takes to overcome, I don't know. I remember back in 21, 22, they were talking about the carbon emissions. So then NFTs started launching on carbon neutral chains and all this stuff. And I don't know. But no, to answer your question, I think NFTs are here to stay. But I think a lot of them will go away, and I think the top ones will go pretty big. And then I think there'll be a lot of new ones that come in. A lot of new teams will come in and do things differently. So it's hard to sort of say right now what the runners will be, because I just don't know what that future will look like. But I think certainly, Pudgy Penguins are probably in a pretty good position to keep some sort of foothold near the top. Maybe Bored Apes. They're starting to make moves, obviously, with the other side and things like. I mean, I'm a gamer at heart. I'm a collector as well, so I used to collect figurines and cards. So for me, NFTs not always made sense, but once I thought about it long enough, I was like, yeah, the collector in me likes this, and it kind of got me hooked. From coming from a physical card trading background to then NFTs, I think as more and more people come around to that, I think they'll do well. Which projects that is, I'm not sure, but I do like what Pudgy are building out as far as an ecosystem and a brand. I think they're probably doing it better than most, although the gamer in me likes what Bored Apes are doing. Whether that translates to increase in prices, I'm not too sure. Greeny, what's your thoughts? You'll probably be more bearish.
That Pudgy on the floor looks like mine, Craig. Literally, except the glasses. The one on the second with the bucket hat. Look, I agree to an extent. I think if you're a collector and you have funds, like we've seen recent timeline attributors by what's his name? I can't remember his name. The guy who bought 1 and 1 from OSF and has been buying
Adam Weitzman.
Yeah. That's him. Yeah, Adam. Yeah. So is someone like him. Like, if you have spare liquidity, I'd be lapping it up. I would be. I'd just buy it and hold it forever. Right. As a trader, no. It's very difficult for me to really consider buying NFTs here. Again, I'm a swing trader. I'm going to be a swing trader. I mean, outside my PFP, I'm unemotional to every trade, and I think that's where the sweet spot of trading really lies. If you can become unemotional to every type of asset that you trade, you're going to win more than you lose. That's just how it works, particularly in crypto, which is so volatile. The tech of NFTs will slowly drip out in time. I think that's obvious. Tickets, IRL moments, Pokemon cards are running it back. So it's collectibles are always going to be some form of asset. Punks though, and NFTs themselves that have a company that are centralized, I suppose you could argue. It's an interesting one for me. So I mean, as the Pudgy Penguin ecosystem continues to dilute in a way, it's hard for me to really trade on abstract or hold little Pudgies or hold the Pengu token when I know that the Pudgy Penguins are the primary asset of that whole ecosystem, right? So, it's things like that. I mean, even Bored Ape Yacht Club, like if you hold an ape, it doesn't necessarily give you anything specific that you couldn't just use the other side in anyway. So, I don't know. It's an interesting emerging opportunity. I think I would like to buy a few NFTs, but I mean, we've already seen the true value of them all after a token, right? So yeah, look, I think there'll always be a place. They'll have trends of outperformance. It's more about probably, and again, you got to think deeper than just an NFT, right? You got to think about the ETH value. So again, something more recently that Craig and I have had to deal with is AUD. So our Australian dollar is outperforming the US dollar by about 10% in just the past month. So if I'm holding a Pudgy Penguin right now, I'm actually losing money, not only in Ethereum value, I'm losing money in Ethereum in USD value, and I'm losing USD value in Australian value. So what was once a 40K asset that I bought it for is probably worth like 20K AUD. So I'm down I mean, it could be more. It might be worth they're only worth like 9 grand. So yeah, it's probably worth like 12 grand now, right? So I might be down only 10 grand in US, but I'm actually down like crazy amounts in AUD. So you really need to step it back and analyze. And this works for your whole portfolio, right? Like it's not just, again, an NFT trade. And this, again, I've just learned this. I've been tapped into this industry probably too much for the past like 4 years. So, I analyze things probably too critically, but that's also why I win so consistently, right?
100%. And yeah, NFTs right now are, unless you're like one of the few guys in the collections that know every trait and stuff and whatever, like it's just a collectibles game. And it's the craziest collectibles game too, because even Pokemon back in the day, you're buying any of these cards, even ones that are probably reselling on eBay, you're maybe paying a few $100s. And maybe there's people back then who are like, oh, Pokemon's going to be, huge someday, whatever. A lot of them are probably just buying them just because they love them. But now you have these NFTs that are like down 90% already, but still like 3, 4, 5, 10K. So it's just a crazy thing in general, just super like once in a thing. Never seen something like that before. But I do think I believe that the NFT technology itself will become very important. And then all that really matters, other than like you said, the X copies, the Beeples, punks, I think the only ones that don't have to do anything. And they've already kind of are just going to continue to go up as crypto kind of gains prominence. But the other ones, the Pudgies, the V Friends, the Apes, the only way those continue are collectible in 5 or 10 years is if they become massive things outside of crypto. All right. That's why I'm so bullish on the V Friends and why I've, spent so much on that is because, it's not really noticeable to people on crypto Twitter right now who aren't on Whatnot. I don't know if you guys know what that is, like live shopping. Right now in China, live shopping has been big for a while where people like literally buy things through streamers, right? Like people are selling things through, all the things there. It's coming here now. VFriends is essentially like onboarding a bunch of new collectors outside of NFTs through there. I just have real belief in brands like that. Apes are obviously doing it with partnering with Amazon. Pudgies have had so many mainstream things. So I think Pudgies, all those, the only way that they're worth a lot of money, even where they're worth right now in 10 years, is if these brands are big outside of crypto. So I think there are a few of them that will happen, will do it, but it'll be interesting to see. I'm going to go ahead and do that giveaway really quick before I forget from the comments of the chat really quickly. Give me 2 seconds. The winner of the 100 USDC, which I will do after the stream, is Dexter. Congratulations, Dexter. Go ahead and send me your USD Soul address after the stream, and we'll go ahead and do that. I appreciate you watching the stream. So pretty much what you guys are doing right now, again, you're just accumulating Bitcoin hype, or you're not really accumulating hype yet. So what are you doing? Other, obviously, you guys do streams all the time, and you're making content. What are you doing during this time to keep yourself sane and doing, like, to keep yourself busy? And then what do you suggest people who maybe joined crypto 6 months ago, or this is their first cycle? How do you suggest they survive and potentially like thrive through this bear market, both mentally and with their portfolio?
Might be a bit
Yeah,
of
I
a shill.
guess.
Oh, you go. You
Yeah.
go.
Okay, I'll go. I think the first thing to do is work out why you're here. So, I didn't come into it thinking I'd be talking on camera or anything about trading. Never in a million years. I was just here to try and make some money and help my family out. So first and foremost, I was here to make money, and then I was obviously got into speaking and stuff like that. So I think what I've been doing lately to keep myself busy is obviously building out our brand, the Market Mates brand. So that's taken up a lot of my time, or our time, over the last sort of probably month, 2 weeks to a month. And that's still got quite a lot to go. I've got to work on the website next and things like that. So building out my brand has sort of kept me busy. And in these quiet times, turbulent times, or downward times, or bloody times, either build out your brand or build a business, or I'd probably do some studying as well. So that's another thing I'll personally be doing. So once I'm finished building out the brand, is getting more into perps trading. And obviously I'm going to have to get better at that. I'm going to have to start getting into my research back like I did in 21 when I was researching crypto like a demon. I'll just get to the books, start learning, start researching, back testing, stuff like that. So that's how I've been keeping myself busy, is obviously working on the brand, because obviously that can generate an income, and B, it just keeps me alive in this space, especially while the market's doing this. I'm not finding a lot of opportunity to make money. So it's times like this as well that it was so important that you took profit, because that's, it allows me to have stables on the side so I can buy dips, and B, if I've got a life expense that I need to pay for, I can afford to. So yeah, it's a bit of a tricky time at the moment. I'm sure for all traders out there. And I think that's probably why you're going to see on the timeline, probably over the next 9 months, of probably a lot of sketchy shills, to be honest. Traders and influencers whose deal flow has gone very quiet are going to have to start doing some exotic stuff. So you're probably going to see some pretty lame shills, man. I'm starting to see a few cringe ones now, a few copy and paste shills where all the creators are posting the same X thing at the same time. It's like, oh boy, here we go again. But myself, build my brand, sharpen my sword, get my skills in line, get my skills better, so the next bull market I can do better. That's what I'm doing, and obviously help Greenie to build out GTG, get that community firing, build out a place where people can come, can learn, can speak to other like-minded traders, and even in down times can find, I suppose, comfort in other people. Sometimes you feel very alone when you trade. Greenie and I speak to other traders, and other traders we've spoken recently have said they feel so alone. And I very much know what that's like. It is very lonely. Trading is a very lonely sport. So to have a community can definitely help you on those down days, or those days you feel down, or those days you feel like you're doing things wrong, or you just don't know what to do. Sometimes it's nice to be able to speak to people that are in the same position as you. Because if you speak to your parents or to normie people, they're not going to be much help, man. Like, they don't know the space, so they don't get it. So being around like-minded people, I think, is extremely powerful. So sharpen your sword, get better at what you do, build out a brand if there's an opportunity there, and just focus on your skills. Is probably what I'd say. Greenie, what's your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, I was going to say it's going to be a personal shill. It's obviously Market Mates for us. Like, that's the focus, our media entertainment business that we do live streams every day at 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, which I think is 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So in America, that's certainly something that we're keen to do. We might even do some IRL events this year in Australia too. We'll have to wait and see. But for me personally, it's obviously, GTG, like, that's my baby. As I said earlier, it's an educational ecosystem for people who love crypto. And as Craig said, it's a community. It's an opportunity for you to learn. So if you don't have friends in the space, if you're looking to tap into some of the knowledge that I have, that Craig has, that so many traders in our community have, then it's arguably one of the best places to go, because we have the back-to-back years, if not, yeah, third year now of just consistently being accurate with the market, as well as supporting you in a way that a lot of other, like, we don't big note anyone in the community. It's always supportive. It's always, we share the mutual goal of wanting to win in crypto, because this is the best opportunity, in my opinion, that you have in our day-to-day lives. So for me, it's, I'm building out a whole beginner pathway to trade right now that involves like meme coin specific stuff, perp specific stuff, spot specific stuff, how to understand charts, how to understand momentum indicators. So much is going into that. So just building that out whilst we're a bit more quiet at the moment. I've introduced some trading competitions, which we do in collaboration with an exchange every month. So even a demo comp where it's completely free to trade, you can win cash from being in our community. And the same thing if you trade with your real money, that's up to like 5Gs a month. So yeah, it's just about providing opportunities for the community consistently when the bear market is here, and you're favoring shorts and there's less on-chain sort of trends to trade. So yeah, just spending time accumulating spot. I suppose diversifying assets. Like I said earlier, I bought a house, be looking to maybe dabble in Robinhood or dabble in potentially Google if they have a bit of a correction. And then looking to accumulate Bitcoin later this year, because yeah, as I said, there's no better opportunity in a crypto cycle than coming out of a bear cycle into a bull cycle. That is where far more consistent millionaires are made, coming out of a bear cycle into a bull cycle.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the other things is, we've touched on this a lot, is patience is required and patience pays. The easiest money I made, man, was buying Bitcoin at 30,000. Like, that was such a dream, bro. And Bren, you were there, Greeny, you were there, and you just, you enter there, and it's scary to enter, but you have to be patient to get that price. And then slowly, as it appreciates, you slowly scale out your profit. And if you want to be a bit more exotic, you do what I did, and Greeny did this as well, is you swing trade that. And Bitcoin, swing trading Bitcoin this bull run, dude, was like so good. Like, it was so, I want to even use the word easy. I think it was quite easy. I'm very reluctant to say that because I'm pretty superstitious. I don't like to say stuff like that in case like the gods upstairs hear me and they punish me this next bull run for saying that. But I'd encourage everyone to go slow, be patient, because trading can be very easy or it can be very hard, and it's up to you which one you pick. So I would say to people, don't be in a big hurry to try and make money in this time in the market. Easier times are coming. If there is opportunity, obviously jump on it, but I wouldn't be trying to, out trade the market right now. Obviously the trend's down. People have got to be patient, and that's the one thing I've learned with humans, including myself, man. I'm the least patient. I'm so impatient. Like, I can't even wait for someone to finish a sentence before I want to start speaking sometimes. So that's one thing I've had to learn, is to shut up and listen more. But yeah, dude, I think there's going to be a great amount of money to be made, but patience has to be there. So I'm super excited, bro. I'm so excited. This is the most excited I've been in a long time. Same as Greeny, to start buying Bitcoin, because I remember the bear market last time, and it was my first. This is my second now. So I'm starting to see the same patterns that happened in the same bear market. Well, in the bear market last time, people blaming government for price, blaming CZ for price, blaming everyone else for their lack of results, right? Whereas people should be blaming themselves first and foremost. Where I click buy, I click sell, taking ownership. But dude, I'm excited, Bren. I'm so excited to start buying, being able to really put a decent amount back into Bitcoin, because I've been pretty gun shy. When Bitcoin got above, say, 116, I started getting edgy, man. I mean, Greeny and I were talking about it for about 2 years, talking about a top between about 125 and 137 was one of the first places we looked. And sure enough, dude, 126 hit. So, as you know, I'm pretty proud of Greeny and I for our streams. For you know what it's like, Bren. It's pretty scary. Well, it's not now, but it's pretty scary to go live talking about financial products and giving price predictions when people, these are all recorded. Well, our ones are, they're recorded, so people can go back and smash us, man. Like, so, you're putting your balls on the line. We're putting our balls on the line daily. Hopefully it pays off. But you know what the real satisfying thing was? Over the last 2 years, Greeny and I can now go back, and people probably get sick of the I told you so's. But I think it's important for people to understand or see who the people were that were leading people in the right direction over a sustained period of time and who wasn't. And I think people need to start being aware who those people were. And that's why I think Greedy and I highlight that and highlight the people like yourself that come on here and they do technical analysis and they do TA, and you actually give people the tools to do this for yourselves without gatekeeping the information and saying, guys, buy this, but why? But why? Whereas, we give entries and exits. We don't always get it right, but damn, we're putting our balls on the line every day, man. So I'm pretty proud of what we've done. I'm proud of what you've done, Brent. I think you've done a great job. And also probably people that admit they're wrong as well is important. People that come out there and go, damn, I got that trade wrong, guys. And this is why I got it wrong. Trader Main did that recently. I thought he did a great video. So full respect to him as well. So definitely start for all the new people in the room, go back and just see who was not so much who was right, but it kind of is who was right. Actually, that's probably pretty important. But why they had that thesis in the first place, I think is important. And just the good thing about this coming bull run, I think as the space matures more and more, again the cream will rise. And I think whatever you want to call us, I hate the word coals, but the people that influence is another gross word. But, I think those people that over time have a history of success will gig ascend. And I think, I think your channel, Bren, I think Market Mates is going to go really well. And I hope people rally behind the people that turn up daily, and especially in the red, man. This is the hardest time to turn up, man, because I've got days, turning up when your portfolio is at an all-time low sucks, dude. You'll know that. It sucks. How good is it when you get to wake up and everything's an all-time high and you're like, I'm a genius. And everyone's like, Craig, you're the man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Whereas now the thank yous become a lot less. So you've really got to go to your internal motivation right now. So you'll see a lot of traders fall off now. I actually like this time in the market. A lot of the influencers leave. Good. Bye-bye. All the tourists leave. It's better. And you see who sticks around. I hope the viewers back those people. That's I don't even know why I had that rant, guys, but
No, that was great. That was great, brother. Honestly, no, 100%. I think whether again we're in this for 6 months, 9 months, even if you completely lost everything, like I think most people their first cycle either lose everything, bag holding, alts on the way down, or they just blew it on leverage, whatever it may be. The second cycle, third cycle, it's like anything, you got to stick with it for multiple years if you want to do well. Fortunately, you have people like Craig and Greeny who continue to do shows like this. Doesn't matter, times are good or bad. That's what I would say too. Is find a few content creators who are consistent, who stick around, who you have who have the results you kind of want, or at least the expertise, and continue to follow them. Greeny's great. I think Thread Guy continues to have smart people on his streams. Obviously, I try to have great people on, give analysis as well. So, definitely everybody who tuned into the stream, especially at this time, different time. I appreciate everybody for coming. Everybody definitely follow both Greeny and Craig as well as Market Mates. I know Greeny, you have a YouTube channel as well, and TikTok. I see you on there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. How have you?
Let's go.
Have you been? How have you been doing on TikTok? Have you been doing?
It's just it sucks. It sucks. Like unless you put so much effort into it, you got to think about bandwidth, right? Like if I'm trying to do my community, trying to do Market Mates, trying to do Twitter, trying to do YouTube, like something's got to suffer, and TikTok and Instagram are the ones that suffer. So
No, there'll be a time for them eventually. I think when the markets kind of turn around, TikTok might end up being like the biggest thing for crypto. It's just not right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to crap. I'm trying to crack into Facebook, man. God,
that's it. I actually think that's not a bad shout. I do like that.
That's good, dude. That's where you got a lot of normies there, man. There's a lot, but with normies comes some.
I'm gonna have to go. I'm getting a call from my broker, so I'm gonna have to go, boys.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate you. I was gonna say I actually started crypto on Facebook, so it's crazy. But Craig, I appreciate you so much for coming on today as well, brother. You'll have to come on again soon. Like I said, I appreciate you for being one of those guys that continues to stick around and do streams and stuff for everybody. And brother, I hope you have a great rest of your night. And again, let's do this again soon.
Yeah, thanks, Brent. Thanks everyone who tuned in as well and listened to me ramble. Hopefully, a few people got something out of that. And yeah, dude, anytime, happy to jump on your show. Love what you're doing, and I think as creators, we need to support each other, right? And the ones that are doing good work, and don't try gatekeep followers. Or, we gotta show love to the other creators who do the right thing in the space. And you mentioned Thread Guy, and that's what I like about him. Is he gives people a platform, and I think that's great. So shout out to him, but also shout out to you. And thank you for having me on, man. It's been an absolute pleasure.
All right, brother. Yeah, 100%. You have a great rest of your day, actually, right? You're just starting your day, right?
Yeah, dude, it's lunchtime, so I'm going to go grab some lunch, and probably just keep building out the website and building out this brand.
Awesome. Yeah, everybody should follow Market Mates, and I'll talk to you soon, Craig.
Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye.
All right. Bitcoin not doing freaking much at all this week. But yeah, I think we just got to let this bear market or whatever we're in play out. I do think if we are able to hold above 61K here for another couple weeks, preferably, but say we come back towards the end of the month, we're still above 61K. I do think this will lead to some kind of bounce. But like we said on here, I think the number one thing you can take from this stream is just patience. Again, it's impossible to tell with this, where we're at right now, whether we're going to be here for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. But I think it's safe to say Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, I think the entire industry has not seen its top. I think it's just getting started, especially with Bitcoin, ETH, Sol. I think creator coin or not creator coins, maybe creator coins, but I meant more movement coins, these revenue coins, stuff like that will continue to go up over time. But we just got to let this thing play out. I'm going to continue to do streams, have cool guests on like Craig and Greeny. Everybody who hasn't already, I'm sure most of you have, but definitely subscribe to the Boss Man Calls Telegram channel. Continue to have giveaways, cool stuff in there. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and get some dinner. I hope everybody has a great rest of your day, night, morning, evening. And check in on your friends. I mean, this is a crazy time. If you yourself are feeling, down bad, it's just crypto or even just in different stuff in life in general. You're going to be, just check on your homies, or if it's you, just reach out to people. I know right now crypto can just be a dark time, maybe if you're whatever else is happening and then the market's not doing much. So reach out to friends. I'm here if you need me as well, but I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. A Neil, Lloyd, I'm Nody, Perlin, Peppy, A Neil, Sergio, Affinity. Shout out to everybody who tuned in, and I'll see you guys next Friday at what is it, 11 a.m.